Paul Dupre, there he is, insolent young man. I didn't call him on it. I didn't do any of that. I didn't talk to the district leader. I didn't tell the other companionship about it. It was it was a concession I was willing to make because, again, we're not dealing with somebody who had grown up understanding the nature of authority in the LDS Church. So, fine. Yeah, I don't remember specifically what happened after that, but we went home, we got through it, and we survived the rest of our time together there in Songshan. And I shouldn't just say survived. And I'm already feeling guilty about the stories I've told, because I'm always wrong. Just know that. It's always my fault. It's never the other guy's fault. He was right. It was up on the third shelf. Fine. There was still no reason to raise his voice. Let me segue out of my relationship with Paul Dupre with a couple of funny stories. Just hearty laughter was involved. And man, he was good for that. He was good for that. Again, this guy enriched every conversation he participated in, regardless of the language. So, one day, very hot day, now is the time to discuss the crud, because another thing that kept Paul Dupre humble were the physical conditions, the heat, the humidity. Is it always like this? And the impact of that, including Paul Dupre, very quickly began to suffer from the crud. And again, a man with no filters is very quickly verbalizing his concerns over the dinner table, etc. What do we do with this? And all that has to be taken in the context of a missionary setting. So it's Art Barrett, Steve Toronto, Corey Meacham, and Paul Dupre sitting around the dinner table eating our fried rice when Paul says, well, I won't say what Paul Dupre would say, innocently, essentially asking, so what's up with my junk here? Why is this beyond annoying, painful, itchy, frightening? Do you guys have this problem too? Clearing of throats, ahem. Yes, we all have this problem, Paul. This is something that, in an interesting way, bonded Elder Dupre and Elder Meacham. I remember this. I remember that this was part of the initiation process. Yes, I know you're suffering, young Jedi. I have suffered too. Lo, these many months, walking bow-legged in order to survive. And worse, not being able to sleep, on and on. And what do you use? What do you use? Did the sisters have such a problem? I'm embarrassed to ask. I'm sorry. Why do I go here? I don't know. I promised I wouldn't talk about the crud. I'm talking about the crud. Why? So that I can tell the following wonderful story about Elder Dupre. One hot day, he comes in from the shower. He is naked because it's just so damn hot. I think he had a towel around him. And he positioned himself directly in front of a fan, aimed directly at, let's just say, the affected area. And I watched him for a moment there, wordlessly, understanding what he's doing there, the relief. And he said, did you know that the whole principle for a fan here is the inverted plane, the turned plane? Each of the blades on the fan is a plane that, when turned slightly, will then propel the air in a particular direction on the hub around which it spins. Pharaoh from Egypt, I believe it was Hatshepsut. I'm kidding. Corey's kidding here, but he gave this little lecture on how Pharaoh had invented the equivalent of a ceiling fan or a circular fan way back thousands of years ago. He paused for a moment as I nodded and ingested the brilliance just presented unto me, as I then saw him close his eyes and, with an expression that looked like he was whimpering, simply said, "Thank you, Pharaoh." And with that, maybe we can just finish with the crud. Stop talking about the crud. That was a bonding moment for poor Elder Dupre and Elder Meacham, because, yes, the crud had chased me around the island already and was never going to let go. We're not going there, fine. So Paul Dupre, another great story, is he, again, like me, he was not prepared for things to be quite so, I don't want to say primitive, but quite so, let's call it developing world, quite so second nation. And there I am explaining to him, this is Songshan, you want second world, let's head down Elan Way, and I'll show you some second world developing culture. And I say that by way of, again, something that kept him humble. We have to boil all the water? What do you mean there's no shower head? And I simply pour this water over myself with this big ladle. And, by the way, I've noticed that there are some bugs. All of that leads to this story. He was unfortunate enough to be in one of the front rooms of the house, one of the study rooms, alone, when up across the top of one of those walls, again, the walls didn't go all the way to the ceiling all the time, or there was something decorative up there. Across that area ran an animal of some kind, an animal. And Paul, he panicked. He would agree. I'll bet you if he heard this today, he would agree that was the limit. You know, Corey Meacham has trouble with bugs. Freak him out totally. It's a phobia. But something about this creature, he yelled, "Yo, hey, everybody, whoa." And we came running from the kitchen or from the other study room or doing our laundry or whatever we were doing at that moment, as he is screaming, yelling for us, hey, I need some help, get the broom, There is something in here. And Elder Toronto and probably Elder Barrett and Elder Meacham, we came running, and by then the thing was gone. The thing was gone. It was probably a rat. I suppose it was a rat. Which, as far as Corey is concerned, rats, no problem. They're one of the zodiac signs. Rats, they're endoskeletons. They have fur. Corey had no problem with a home infested with rats. Maybe they eat cockroaches. Who knows? I wasn't worried because Paul immediately began describing this animal that had run through, and he insisted that it had a bushy tail. He insisted. He locked onto this. It became a fetish of his. It had a bushy tail. The rest of the three of us couldn't put it together. It wasn't a squirrel. We were nowhere near a park. And Paul's insistence that it had a bushy tail didn't add up to a rat. And so what happened is, because the rest of us had been on island more than a year at this point. We are old heads, especially Steve and Art Barrett. And I'm past my hump day too. So we kind of got, fed up with it. Well, it's gone. It's gone. And Paul wouldn't let it go. So what happened is we started, right then and there, we started teasing him about it. But we started playing it back and forth like a comedy routine among the three of us. It was this beautiful bonding moment where even Toronto got in on the fun of a greenie who was terrified of something that you really don't need to be frightened of. You really don't. There is so much more for you to worry about here on your mission, young greenie, that this furry creature that you insist must have been a ferret or a squirrel or some other East Coast species that you grew up familiar with. No, we're in Taiwan now. And in fact, it might have been a wolf spider.